and people to come not just to eat the food that's been prepared, but they actually come to make it for themselves. So we just show them what to do, and then they put together all the ingredients that we've lovingly grown on our land. I'm Floris, a cacao farmer, a tree-to bar chocolate producer, and eco-agritourism. I'm also the country convener for Samoa on the Council of INOFO. So at the age of 39, I returned to Samoa unplanned, lost, physically and mentally unwell. The youngest of 15, I was born in Samoa, but migrated to New Zealand in 1984. And growing up in New Zealand, I held on to memories of life on the island and our cacao plantation. Unlike my older siblings, perhaps I had a more naive and romantic view of Samoan life. In 2014, that view would evolve from culture shock to resistance and then to surrender as I returned to my ancestral land to do farming, a vocation in which I had no formal training or experience. My training was about to begin in a raw and uncomfortable but purely organic way. So over the next 11 years, the land and nature was my only teacher. You can go on to the next slide. One of the key things that I learned from nature is that we are not in control. You have to move, bend, and grow with her. And sometimes when you think something you're doing isn't working, you have to stop it, watch, and listen to the elements. Like our ancestors, we have to learn nature's cycles, the moon, the stars, the sun's heat, and the rain's intensity, and the wind's directions. So this has been my roadmap to organic farming, and I know that it has been a huge part of our success so far. Next slide. So since our land has been a huge food forest for our family and village for 4 generations, I did not want to disturb the system. Despite the threats of climate change and constant influence of governments wanting to expand, commercialize, and monocrop everything, my instincts told me to work with the landscape and not to change a thing. Next slide. So why cacao? We already had plenty of it. I'm the 4th generation cacao and coconut grower in my family. Samoa has a beautiful love affair with cacao, not slavery, thank goodness. We were the only Pacific island with a domestic consumption of cacao since its introduction in the region in the 1880s. So we consume more than we export. Next slide. And if we can go to the next slide. About 90% of our crops began with our own seedlings. It took longer to develop new crops, but we found that our own seedlings had a much higher rate of survival. We save our seeds and we share them with our farming communities. And the next slide. So while we had the existing plantation, I wanted to challenge myself and start a new plantation. The land which once belonged to my late aunt had been abused and on fallow land for many years. So in the first 2 years of my efforts, I lost almost 50% of the cacao I grew. In the second planting, I added coffee, coconuts, avocados, and nitrogen-fixing trees to the mix. In the third year, I added local timber trees in the boundaries and cassava and other fruit trees in the mix. In over 5 years, the soil was completely transformed and regenerated in this area. Next slide. Over the next couple of slides are basically the crops that we grow. Although I say that I'm a cacao farmer, in fact, we grow so many different fruits and vegetables. Next slide. And onto the eco-agritourism experiences on our land. From 2015 until now, we welcome tourists and travelers, adventurers and volunteers, and long-lost family to our land to experience and share our way of life on the farm. It was the beginning of many amazing partnerships that we have made along the way. And agritourism on the farm was just a natural progression from years of sharing our journey online, as I said before, with our friends and family. As they watched me struggle and triumph over big and little issues, they were also watching a budding enterprise and new opportunities begin. And next slide. So the first real visitors on the farm came as an answer to a call for support. The harvests were plenty and I needed help. I solicited support from volunteer organizations such as HelpX and Workaway. And that was the beginning of our woofing adventures. And we had many people from all over the world, from even your country, Talis, has been in our land. Volunteers wrote blogs and their experiences, and this brought more generic travelers to us. So I think we have a lot to thank the volunteers from overseas. And the next slide. When we began our venture, our only income was through the local markets. So we did farmers markets every weekend. And then as we went on, what we didn't sell, we would turn into byproducts. And that's how our agro processing began. As we were experimenting with making our own chocolate, we decided to fuse traditional recipes with our craft chocolate twist. And thus food tourism was born. Being fully plant-based at the time, we set out to promote plant-based food using only what we grew on the land. And we were quite strict about that. During our tourism, our agritourism experiences, we were able to also educate our consumers on how to take care of not only just one type of crop, but all the crops on our land and how to take care of ourselves with the food that we produce from our land. And next couple of slides. Inspired by my mother's knowledge of traditional medicine and foraging, we added roots, flowers, and herbal medicine to enhance the traditional flavors of our umu dishes. And if you know Samoa, traditional earth oven cooking is called umu. This is where we put all the amazing ingredients that we grow into little parcels and cook them over hot rocks in the ground. The most loved experience on the farm is learning about the magic of turning cacao beans into chocolate. There is absolutely no chocolate flavor without the fermentation process. And this is one of the key things that we show during our agritourism experiences. And it's one of the most popular things that our visitors like to do. We allow our visitors to make their own chocolate bars as well from the beans. And this gives them a full circle experience of what it is to turn something that you've grown into a byproduct. And next slide. It is a slow journey, but we are very particular about what we do with our chocolate. Our recipe is very simple. We use only what we grow. And in 2021, we started a company in New Zealand because we had realized that we were increasing production and our innovation, and therefore expansion was very, very difficult and very expensive, but it was something that we felt we needed to do. So we opened a company called Cocoa Beans in New Zealand in 2022. And we began exporting the beans to New Zealand only. And we make one of our key products in New Zealand and have gained access into an organic, a number of organic food stores there. And just the last slide, Cocoa Beans Limited is our chocolate brand. And I know that some of the INOFO staff members have tasted our chocolate in Africa earlier this year. And it is our pride and joy, but we are, it's a work in progress. Thank you.